Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on Clockwork Dandy Noodles. We have episode 9 of Blue Period. I don't know how many episodes there still are. We could be going on for quite some time, or this could be coming quite close to the end and we don't realise it. I really hope it isn't the case that there's 12 episodes and we're only 3 away. I feel good and confident that we're going to have at least 24. The story feels like it's got a long way to go still. It still feels like there's a lot of stuff that we still need to do. This week's episode was a very heavy episode, but it was an episode I was waiting for. I, in a sense, was expecting it earlier, but it's happening today. Happy and both sad that it's happening today, but we will get there in a moment. Before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed. Very soon, I'm going to have my end of season review where I will crown my top 3 anime of the season, talk to you about the season in general, and also tell you what's coming up your way next season and what's going to be coming on the channel. Big Giants coming back, aka Titans are coming back, and we've got a lot of season 2s. But there's a lot of more smaller series that seem to be coming out next season. And there's a few of the small ones I would like to cover. I will explain that in my video. There is a Discord channel too to allow you to get notified whenever videos go up on the channel. Let's break it down. There's a lot to break down this episode. We are told that Takahashi also passed the exam. I figured he would because he's in the main posters. There was a group of the main characters they had the art designs for. They're the people I was expecting to go through it. They're all the people I would expect to at least get through first exam at the most. But I still want to say a huge congratulations to Yaguchi for passing. This week, he is trying to focus in on a weakness he considers, which is colour. We haven't seen him really use too much colour since we had the big piece with the iron forge, the metal forge. That was really colourful and very vivid and dark. I thought his colour was actually quite a good point of his. But he thinks his colour at work is too bland. There's no depth to the colour that he's working with. He does produce a new piece. It looks pretty nice and the colour is back. So it is the colour blue. I'm very happy that blue has come back because Blue Period, I'm expecting to see at least either someone having a Blue Period, which could now be Yuka and Yaguchi, or the colour itself is going to be important. Colour really is massive, absolutely massive. That's one thing I appreciate as an artist, a photographer, and a cosplayer. It's huge. The palette is massive. You go into your computer settings and any of the good programs, there's too many to count. Too many colours to even count. As a Citadel paint lover as well, I use Citadel for a lot of my projects. There is about 1 million types of red. And there's also that funny meme where you've got the colour scheme and the girls are like picking it all out and the guys only see red and girls are going and breaking it down. I updated it because I didn't like the original. It's now cosplayers and artists seeing red, vermilion, and then all those millions of different colours of red, just even the red section. And then you just got the non-artistic on the other side going, it's red. That's a better version. I like that version better, where the artist is just seeing an array, a spectrum of colour. Finally having the Yuka episode that I was expecting, but it initially didn't happen. It starts with just our paint shop, which is good because Yuka definitely knows more about paint than Yaguchi certainly does, and we do get some nuggets of information which are given thanks to Yuka. One thing I do say about paint is really expensive. My dad is an artist and occasionally for Christmas he wants paint. Let's just say my budget for him goes quite quickly and it doesn't look like I've bought much at the end of it. Yuka telling Yaguchi that they failed the art exam and now has a part-time job, but doesn't give too much details on the exact art exams. They don't say, oh yeah, by the way, I just drew a cross. This isn't the point that Yaguchi finds that out. We do get some nice little nuggets that Yuka really likes vermilion. That is the colour that they are really drawn to. It's a very strong colour. It's a very pretty colour. We do get a bit of information that some colours do come from minerals. Sometimes they come from plants and dyes. This one in particular comes from a stone. A nice colour talk that initially Yaguchi really needed. However, this week Yaguchi isn't really going to be able to focus on the exam, and I'm a bit worried about this. I had this big feeling at some point that he probably wouldn't pass this time round. And sure, it's great that he got through his first exam, but I did say I was expecting something to go wrong with him. And maybe it's not so much him, but I do feel like this is probably not the time that he's going to be passing the exam. Yuka announces that there's no more art schools, no more nothing, and then departs, leaving Yaguchi to wonder WTF. But Yaguchi, being Yaguchi, can't let it be, and obviously the way it's been said and the way that Yuka just vanishes gets to him, because Yuka was a very big reason to why Yaguchi even got into art in the first place. And of course, these two knew each other prior to coming to school and meeting each other at school. They know each other. I do like the colour on the board that Yuguchi is painting at this moment in time. I feel like it has got quite a nice bit of depth, whether it's just the way it's shown on the screen. It's quite nice. It's a nice gradient of reds and purples, which is also very nice to see him using reds because that's the colour that Yuka said they really liked. Kuena also at this point in time tells us that the friend that we heard about collapsing from exhaustion and the eating problem, they have also now found a part-time job. A bit of an irony that both of them have friends in a similar place, that two friends are now just turned their backs on art and had to get a part-time job. It's more that you can love something. You may not be mentally in the place to deal with it or may not be in a position to pursue it. I really get this because for me, that thing that I couldn't really be in a position to pursue was musical theatre. I would have killed to do musical theatre more than anything. And similar to Yuka in a sense, I wasn't allowed to do musical theatre. I wasn't allowed to pursue it. I ended up going for a more academic subject, which was history and philosophy, because my parents said that musical theatre would not be for me, even though I really do disagree. And sadly, because of where I am now, it's just too expensive and I would never be in a position to study it. It hits me in a very personal way, and especially this line that you can love something as much as you really do, but you have to turn your back and you're not just ready to compete anymore. Yaguchi now, this is where I'm panicking. Yaguchi is so stressed and so worried about Yuka that it's starting to get to him. I really do love and feel for him when he ends up slapping himself and feeling bad because he realizes that he was pushing his own opinions on Yuka, and that's why he was feeling bad and that's what he said, and he realizes what he did was just wrong. I also like the fact that he is using Vermilion because it's a nice takeaway and it's also a nice link to Yuka and the fact that he's taken their advice. He is told about what Yuka actually did in the art exam. He didn't even try, just walked out. We are going to catch up on Yuka now in Yuka's new job, which is host club work. We have the Yaguchi feeling very bad. And initially on the phone, Yuka does lie. Are you going to come to the store and help out? Well, Yuka doesn't work at a store. Not right now. And Yaguchi's going to come right now. He's going to end up seeing you at a host club, which perhaps Yuka felt confident that Yaguchi wouldn't come. Even if he said, can I help? They wouldn't be able to come right there and then. But it is sad. Both situations are bad. Yuka is in an awful place, and I really don't even know how to begin expressing how bad the situation with Yuka is. It's gotten even worse than the last time we saw it. But it's also really bad timing because Yaguchi now has this all 2 days before an exam. And I feel bad for Yaguchi as well because Yaguchi gets torn apart on the phone. Obviously, Yuka is stressed, and at this point, a lot of it is going his way because he's offered to help, and then he's also not realizing what it is he's saying and how he can help and all of this thing. Yuka really does need help. Yuka really needs help and couldn't reach out properly to say, I need help, because at this point, stressed at this point, it's getting worse and worse. But I feel bad about it. And even just for Yaguchi as well, I'm not even sure what Yaguchi could have even done. I don't know what he could have done in this situation. The second exam, we are told, is more about thought process. We are told about the sketchbook and how important the sketchbook is, but it's nice to see that it's not limited, so it doesn't have to be all written or it doesn't have to be all drawn. You can do whatever you want in a sketchbook. You can draw, you can write, you can do whatever. It will all be taken into consideration. There's no actual preferred way of doing it. They allow you to really have a bit of flexibility with your sketchbook and how your thought process is. Some people have as a picture in their head, so they draw it down. Some people can write it down. But Yuka's words start to haunt Yaguchi, the idea of the model student. Somebody who will throw in the life preserver, who will act to help but won't jump in at the same time. Somebody who won't get their hands in the same situation, won't experience what that person is going through. He will help, but he just won't understand. That's what I gained from this moment. I could be wrong on my understanding of it, but that's what I gained from the words that Yuka said to Yaguchi. But Yaguchi is stressed, and I'm very worried. It's very bad timing. We are told a few little positives this week that Yaguchi is slowly getting better at his use of colour, and the art book of his at that point is told that that's probably the most interesting one. But Yaguchi starts to get more and more interested in what Yuka's work was like. What was the thought process behind the work that Yuka produced? Yuka took the, I think it's classical Japanese or traditional Japanese art style work, but Yaguchi starts to realise that that isn't what Yuka's art is. Yuka's art is actually more Western. There's a lot more interest to the Western style in the work that we end up seeing. And I've got a few ideas to why Yuka would be interested more in the West as opposed to traditional Japanese. I don't feel confident to take them here, but I've got a few possible ideas to why that would be the case, and also why they would take the traditional Japanese style, because that's the one I think the grandmother took, or the one which she's trying to follow in the footsteps of somebody, and that's being pushed upon them, and their actual interest is actually in the West. This all comes down to the fact that Yuka's abusive home life getting worse and worse. That also would explain why maybe doing something and then actually having an interest somewhere else. Well, the home life is awful, and the dad really is just an absolute piece of work. The mum doesn't even want to get involved to help either, so they're both as bad as one another here. Yuka's room getting completely thrown out, all the bits and pieces gone because, I want to get back to normal. This thing was horrible. This thing was absolutely horrible. I'm happy that the grandma there, being a saint, actually being the only good positive for Yuka. But Yaguchi is worried. He's really, really worried. He wants to help, but he doesn't know what to do. And also, we've got the exam in a few days. I really don't think he can even sit the exam in the state that he is. Says even on the phone in his desperation that he would help and he would jump in if it needed. If there was nothing else and that was the way forward, he would do it. He would do whatever is necessary at the time. But Yuka is in such a very bad place, and it seems now that we are heading to the beach, and I don't know. I feel like Yuka might be a bit suicidal. It's a possibility that Yuka is suicidal, because I was really scared that they were about to jump in front of the train. I'm happy they didn't, but I'm very, very worried because Yaguchi is now going somewhere a day before the exam. For some reason, I just have this instinct that he's actually going to fail this time around, and he's going to actually have to retake it on the second attempt. Whether this also is the fact that he's going to strike up an inspiration in Yuka, somehow help, and then they're both going to resit it in a year's time. Maybe that's going to be the case. Maybe they'll both retake it the year after. Maybe, because even if he fails it this time, he can probably still resit it and work. I just feel like this isn't the time. For some reason, if you were to ask me if I think Yaguchi's gonna get through, right now I tell you probably not, even though he's passed one part of the exam. With all that's going on, and the fact that his care and he's worrying about the friend, and he's actually just walked onto the train with them, either he's not going to get back in time, he's not going to have time to sit it or something, or that isn't going to be able to focus and it's not going to be his best work and it's going to end up really reflecting on him and he's actually not going to make it. I really don't know what you could even do in this situation either, because it's a really bad situation. Yuka's situation is horrible, and how do you even cope? How do you even break free? What is Yaguchi supposed to be able to do to even make that situation better, and how is Yuka going to make that better? It's an awful situation. Sad, this week's episode is heavy, but I'm glad we're getting it, because I did say it felt like Yuka's situation was really important, and at the time we were focusing on Yaguchi, and it felt like we needed to be focusing over there. So we're finally focusing over there, but it's just such poor timing. I anxiously await the next episode. I'm very, very worried. I want to see how it progresses. I care so much for Yaguchi. I don't know. I've gone from, he wasn't my favourite character at the start. I took a while to warm to him, and there's nothing bad with that. The anime has done the legwork to make me warm to the character, and now I care about what he thinks and I worry about the guy. I just really hope that we can find a solution to both of them. I hope that Yuka can also get free of the situation that they're in, because it's a horrible situation. I really hope that something can be done about it. Something can be done where Yuka clearly does like art. Yuka loves art, have that interest in the Western stuff, but they can't do it because of the pressures that are on them are horrible. I really hope it can be fixed. Join me next week, guys, as we find out more along this story. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and really respecting yourself as well. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.